When I mention the vibrations, I'm generally referring to something a bit different than most OBEers. I'm referring to the sound that I am, the seed sound that manifests harmonically through the dimensions and appears as everything we see, feel, and experience. The vibrations that occur when the consciousness is opening out from the physical into the non-physical is but one of these vibrational experiences, whereas I'm generally referring to them all at large. There's two things that I feel are responsible for letting me experience myself in more than one location at a time. The first thing is my consciousness reconfiguring itself from a point or particular experience into a wave. And it's this reconfiguring and experiencing myself in wave form that allows me to occupy more than one location simultaneously. Now, I can experience myself in wave form from the physical format, meaning with my consciousness all the way to the outside of myself, let me say. And if I do this, the wave or vibration is very subtle, barely discernible. But if I pay attention and look, I will see evidence of this happening. I can bring my awareness inside myself just a bit into what I'll call just my energy, into the side channels, Ida and Pingala for the yogis out there. And when my awareness is situated here, everything will be highly tangible. On a scale of 1 to 10, it would move from a 1 to a 6 or 7. I can also reconfigure my awareness and bring myself in and situate in the central column, Sushumna, again for the yogis out there. And with the awareness reconfigured to situate within Sushumna, everything, all vibration is felt massively, massively, thunderously, huge. I would not be able to relate to you how my consciousness reconfigures and situates itself in Sushumna. I can only relate to you that it does, and that I like when it does, although this can be scary when it's for a prolonged period of time. And that it is this increased level of tangibility of vibration that really, really profoundly, solidly, very clearly lets me experience more than one dimension, more than one location simultaneously. I've never experienced myself in more than one physical location simultaneously. This has yet to occur. Right now, my experience rests at experiencing the physical layer, the etheric layer, and what some people would call the astral layer simultaneously. And so 2 nights ago, I had a pretty major wow experience. My conscious mind was roused in the night somewhere between 2 and 4 a.m. and at this moment my consciousness happened to be situated in the central channel. I felt many different massive energies. The first thing I felt were just fervent, fast-moving vortices of energy within me. I'm unsure about the number, I'll just say many of them. I could feel highly concentrated energy, detailed, working in a detailed fashion through my right leg, in particular the right thigh. I felt myself as a whole as just a massive upward rush of energy. And these three energy sensations, vibratory experiences in particular, I feel represent beautifully the physical layer, etheric layer, and astral layer. Now this experience went on for many hours. It began somewhere between 2 and 4 a.m. and continued through to about 6:30. At some point in this experience, when I began to feel not so sure about what it was that was actually happening, meaning fear was about to come in, my consciousness broke through into the etheric. I broke through into the etheric version of my room here, and it was dark. I was viewing it as though through night vision goggles, meaning there was that sort of green tint to the environment. I could perceive myself laying here. I perceived someone picking up my left foot and dragging me across the room. This was, probably my etheric body being taken a bit away from my physical body, although I experienced it cohesively. I then began to see a mass torrent of energy whirlwinding around me. When I peered into this energy, I began to see an indigenous Polynesian Indian man who had stopped for a moment to let me see him. This was the energy creating the whirlwind around me. There seemed to be some importance in the way this man was dressed, and so I took a moment to take note of his dress, at which point he then continued, and as all there was this fast torrent of energy cycling around me. Again, I began to get confused about what was happening, and at this time my consciousness broke through to a dimension wholly outside of time. And at this point I'm experiencing these three realities simultaneously. A man begins calling out to me. I see him. He's a bit at a distance to me at this moment, and by the time my conscious mind fully came into this environment, he had already said a few sentences which I didn't quite catch. I came in on him saying, "Not many people can do this with their energy." He was raising his left hand, and an energy came out from his hand, in the shape of his hand, which I perceived in the shape of his hand, plum in color, which just slowly began wafting over toward me. And I'm watching this energy just sort of floating above me, and it seemed like it was going to just go on by, but then it comes back on me, and when I see it, it flies fast into my right thigh. At this point, my consciousness is re-strengthened in the physical, and I get that this man, this energy, is a part of what's responsible for the work happening in my right thigh, physically. We begin to have a conversation, and he's helping me to understand what's happening. I'm letting him know about the energy I'm feeling in the physical terrain and the strength of it. I'm letting him know about the Polynesian man creating the torrent of energy around me. And he says, it's the 7 feathers bird dance. He's preparing you for a spirit journey. And I'm very happy to hear this. What I hear when he says this is that I'm going to journey further into a further dimension than I have previously, that I'm going to come into a wider understanding than I have previously. But as thrilled as I am to be hearing this, some fear comes in as well. And I begin to ask him, where do you go on your spirit journeys? He says, usually to the earth. I understand what he means and just nod. And he begins telling me that his niche is to assist with the family unit, and that he does simple but important tasks in the family, like holding the babies when they need to be held. Things like this. Now at this point, my focus is beginning to fade from here. In the middle of me telling him I'm a caregiver and understand the importance of these type of tasks, but it's my hope that my task here is a bit different.